Hello and welcome to this tutorial for the game The King is Dead 2nd edition. I'm not familiar with the 1st edition, so I'm happy to explain this one to you. Here's how it goes. You are going to play until either all these 3 black discs on France have been placed on some of these spaces in Britain. That's called an invasion, and the game immediately stops. That's one way the game ends. Or the other way for the game to be over is when you flip over this card that is faced up on space number 8 next to the game board. That is the other way the game will immediately end. This is called a coronation. And then you have to check who the winner is. In case the game ended with an invasion, when the 3 black discs have been put on the map of Britain, then whoever has the most of these sets of cubes is the winner. If you own 1 blue cube and 1 red cube and 1 yellow cube, that counts as 1 complete set. Whoever has the most complete sets wins the game. Or, if the game ends because there is a coronation, when this last card on space 8 has been flipped over and dealt with, then you check which color has the most discs on the game board. That color goes on space 1 of the coronation card, here. The color that is in 2nd place goes on the 2nd space, and the color in 3rd place goes on space 3. The player that owns the most cubes of the color that is in 1st place wins the game. So for example, if most of the discs on the board are blue, then blue goes on space 1 of this card. Whoever has the most little blue cubes in their possession wins the game. Next, how do you play the game? What do you do when it's your turn? When it's your turn, you can either pass or play one of the cards from your hand. If you passed, nothing happens for now. When it's your turn again, you can again choose to pass or play an action. But when you choose to play a card from your hand, this is what happens. First, you play that card open and read it out loud. Then you do everything it says on the card you just played. You finish your turn by placing your card on the discard pile, your own discard pile, and you take 1 little cube from the board. It has to be from one of the spaces on the map. You can't take cubes from the supply. And that's it. This is how you play The King is Dead. Either pass or play one of your cards. If you pass, you can always come back in the game later. If you choose to play a card, it goes on your discard pile and never comes back. So in this game, every person gets to do a maximum of 8 actions, because you all get 8 cards at the start of the game. I'll explain what each card does in a moment, or if you want, you can look that up toward the back of the rulebook. So, as I've said, when it's your turn, you can choose to do an action by playing 1 card from your hand and doing what it says, and then take 1 cube to keep, or you can pass. Don't forget, when you pass, you are only out of the round, not out of the game. But it's possible that every player chooses to pass. It can happen. When every player has passed, then it's time to flip over one of the cards next to the board. You always use the card next to the game board that's next to the lowest number. So in this case, I flip over the card next to number 2, because the card by number 1 is already flipped over. Card number 2. It shows this area. Then you look at that area on the board. Which color cube is there the most? In this case, it's this one. This color has the most cubes in this space. That means this color is the winner. Take a disc from that color and place it on that area on the board. Place all the cubes from that area into the supply then. The card is now flipped over for the rest of the game, and this disc is also there for the rest of the game. You can't change this anymore. And remember, when the 8th card is flipped over, that's one of the things that makes the game end. It's also possible that when you look at an area and see that there isn't one color that has the most cubes, but it's a tie. At least 2 colors have an equal amount of cubes in that space. If that's the case, then you place one of these black discs from France in that area. Then you also put all the cubes from that space back into the supply, and that black disc will stay there for the rest of the game. As soon as you've placed all 3 black discs, the game is over and it's an invasion. One last detail before I explain the 8 action cards. As I've said, you may only use each action card once. Then you put it on your discard pile. You may always look at your own discard pile at any time, but you may never look at the discard pile of another player. We're already done! This is how you play The King is Dead 2nd edition. You play the game until there's either an invasion or a coronation, and then you see who wins the game. When it's your turn, you can play 1 card from your hand and do what it says, and then take one of the cubes from any space on the map. Or, when it's your turn, you can choose to pass. If every player at the table has passed, then you do the action where the card with the lowest number is flipped over, and you see which color has the most little cubes in that area. If you know enough, I thank you for watching. If you'd like to know what each of the action cards does, I'll explain that now. Don't forget that after you've used an action card, you take 1 cube from an area. This card is Welsh Support. If you play this, you can put 2 red cubes from the main supply in an area next to an area that has a red disc. Or if the Welsh home base of Gwynedd doesn't have any disc in it, when you play this card, you can put 2 red cubes in an area next to Gwynedd. The next card is Scottish Support. That works exactly the same way, but then with blue cubes. And Moray is the home base for that. And the third one is English Support, which is the same, but then with yellow cube and Essex as the home base. Then you have the action card that is called Assemble. At the start of the game you'll have 2 of those. When you play this card, you can take a blue cube, a red one and a yellow cube from the supply and place them anywhere you like on the board. On Britain, of course. You can place them all in different places or all or some in the same area. It's up to you. Next, you have this card that says Negotiate. When you play this, you can take 2 of the face-up cards next to the board and switch their positions. Then you place your white disc on one of those cards, and from now on, no other player can move that particular card to another position. Almost done. This action is Maneuver. It's almost the same, but you use this to swap 2 cubes on the board. For example, I take this red cube from here and this blue one from here and switch them around. That's all. You can even swap 2 cubes of the same color if you like. This last card is Outmaneuver. When you play this card, you use it on 2 areas that are connected. They must be next to each other. And then you can move 2 cubes from one area to the next, but only 1 cube from that area to the other. One detail about maneuver and outmaneuver cards. When one player has played one of these actions, then everyone has to wait to play that same action until someone at the table has played at least one other action. So you can never play a maneuver action if the last action taken by someone else or yourself was also the maneuver. And that's it. I hope you feel like you fully understand how to play The King is Dead 2nd edition and that you'll enjoy it. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Feel free to leave a comment and see you for the next one.